guys, welcome to Monkey Business. We are Hela and
Nata
from Camelio, the building block for adding analytics to any SaaS platform. We are two international girls from Tunisia and
Ukraine,
and we are working in sales. We've been always quite curious about ways of making business great success. Every mid-month, we will be inviting a guest, leader of a certain industry, to talk about challenges, opportunities, and ways to make your business grow in the most creative way. So today we have with us Patrick de Pauw, CEO and founder of Social Cedar. So Patrick, if you can give us a little idea about yourself and Social Cedar, that would be great.
Welcome for having me. My name is indeed Patrick. I'm CEO of Social Cedar. I started Social Cedar 6 years ago, coming from airline and tourism industry. In the meantime, we have about 270 companies worldwide working with us. We are still, let's say, Belgian company, but we have operations, international operations. And yeah, I think that's my introduction.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just to intro a bit the subject as well, with this webinar series in general, we promise not to bore, but share with you some valuable experiences and learnings from our guests. So you will be able to walk out after it with some easy to implement, but yet powerful ideas to accelerate your own SaaS. And as we all know, one of the most challenging things while scaling your business is to find new ways of expanding in the market and generating extra revenue streams. This is why you have to stay bold and creative most of the time, one or even a few steps ahead, and stay at the cutting edge. That's why today we will be discussing specifically the ways of adding new revenue streams to any SaaS business.
So Patrick, relating to this, can you tell us a little bit more about Social Cedar's current revenue stream? Do you guys have different revenue channels?
The Social Cedar is a platform that enables employee engagement and employee advocacy. So basically what we do is we make it very easy for a company to ask their co-workers to share content and thus create lots of impact. So it's a SaaS platform that we have, but next to this we also have a methodology because we are working with communities, with different cultures, different sizes of companies. So there's also workshops that we're giving. So we have our expertise that we sell together with our platform. So we currently already have two revenue streams.
Okay, and is this exactly the same business model you started with, or it somehow evolved along the way?
It's something that evolves because in the beginning, obviously, you don't have so much expertise. You have a platform, and hopefully the platform works, but the expertise will come through the amount of customers that you have, and obviously the learnings that you create. So in the beginning, it was more the platform, and now we have both revenue streams. Yes.
Well, did there ever come a point where you felt that you grew enough in your market to feel a little bit stuck, like you needed to find new ways of generating revenue, new channels for generating revenue?
A SaaS company can grow exponentially, and normally if you have a market fit, you can grow over the borders. So the market size for a company like Social Cedar can be huge, providing that we also have obviously the setup to go internationally. But it's not only about this; it's also about creating your own USPs. One of the USPs that we wanted to create is also the very valuable insights in data, and that's that was the next step that we had to take in order to be competitive throughout the world.
Okay. And is there a new revenue channel that you are still considering or planning to try out for Social Cedar?
There's some revenue channels that we are looking at, but basically what we are seeing today is that companies, they really want to have, and also during COVID, they really want to see what the extra impact or what the impact is of the efforts that they are doing. So there's already lots of things changing on publicity, and specifically during COVID, budgets will be under very high pressure. So everything that company wants, if a company wants to invest in something, they really want to see that it does have an effect. So the data about the effects that you create is obviously of most importance.
Absolutely. And have you, along your way, tried something or thought of trying something and it did not work out, that you had the feeling this is not really something that's going to generate us new revenues, or rather you started with it and then while measuring you discovered that it's actually failing you out?
The real failure, we didn't really have real failure. The only thing is we had to adapt a bit depending on the market, and the market is evolving very quickly right now. So obviously you always have to adapt, and there's you always try out things. But the nice thing obviously is if you have an X amount of customers, the best thing you can do is just ask your customers about the features and what do they like and what do they want, and how do they see the future, and then eventually eliminating it, because we are looking at what features are people really using, and if people don't use any feature, even if I thought that would be the coolest feature ever, then we just take it out of the platform, because there's nobody's waiting for a dashboard with 25,000 different buttons. So we make it as simple as possible. So it's sometimes even the opposite way. Just simplify your platform, and then you even create more excitement.
Yeah. So you think of revenue channels more in terms of new features that you add on. Do you also think of creative way of completely going into something that you don't usually offer, like if you do consultancy, or you would add a new business unit that you don't actually do currently? Have you ever had that thought?
Yes, obviously, yes, because creating an ecosystem is I think a very interesting thing to do. And in the line of business that we are, you also need somebody creating content, eventually video content. There's so many things you can eventually sell, but at the other hand, you just have to focus on what you're good in. So we are focusing on that one single thing that we are good in, and we want to focus the 100% of resources on this focus. Next to this, we are creating an ecosystem of extra features, but it's an ecosystem, meaning that it's done through partners and not done through us.
Absolutely. So that you're still keeping it less risk, but still finding ways to expand, because I think for SaaS, it's easier to do it that way, since you said the opportunities are exponential, and then you can still grow in your kind of safe spot. But this is a question more also for our audience. So we are actually curious if you guys tried out new revenue streams, new things that you thought would work out but failed. We're very interested to hear about that. So feel free to write down in the comments or interact with us. We'd be very happy to hear about that.
Yeah, and coming back to the revenue channels, when it comes to trying out something new, how do you actually measure if that was something successful? Is there like secret KPIs and metrics that you have in mind and you use at Social Seeder, or how do you actually do that?
No, like I just mentioned, what we do is we measure the usage of everything we develop, and if something is used a lot, that means that it's high value, and if nobody is using the feature, that means that there's very low value, even if you explain that they have to use it, but if they don't use it, they don't use it. So for us, it's really looking at the data in the platform, and depending on the data, we will further develop a feature or put the feature aside and stop it.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that you have different kind of offerings for your clients. So when you tried to adapt your plans or your subscriptions or your pricing model, how did you evaluate if that's something you should go forward with, or if it's something that you better back up, or how did you actually adapt it along the way?
In Social Seeder, we have two types of companies. We have companies that start, and we have companies that are running the program for 2, 3, 4, even 5 or 6 years, and they have both completely different requirements. So we have requirements for the first year users, which are mainly make it as simple as possible, because if you make it simple, then the process will start. Otherwise, there's nothing starting. And then the second thing is, what are the extra features that our users are interested in, because we have continuously service. Next to this, we also have our own vision, obviously, because you need to have your own long-term vision. This is where I want to go and what I want to be in the year 2022. Mm-hmm. And this combined gives us a pretty good roadmap for our development team.
Yeah. And when you make new strategies, for example, for expanding, for offering to the different tires, do you measure those in any way?
So when there's new offerings, do we measure them in one way or another? Yeah, obviously you measure them all the time, because every single company is also, we have cash flow, so the sales needs to come in. And if you see that some people they get stuck on certain features, or the feature is too expensive, then we have to change it. Our pricing model has been honestly changing all the time. I think it's also logical. You create something new, and you have to see, first of all, you have your market fit, but next to the market fit is, what is the value, what is the value that we give to a company. And the value that we can give to a company with 50 co-workers next to the value of a company with 5,000 co-workers is also completely different. So also there your pricing will be different. So it's quite a complex thing. And I don't feel this as a problem that you change your pricing from time to time. It's a trial and error anyhow. But at this moment it's quite stable, but we've been changing quite sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, and we all know that we are now living in a very special time. So it wouldn't be wise to not ask how actually pandemic influenced at your sector and at your business. Was there something that changed drastically, or something changed and you're actually glad it did so?
The pandemic had some positive and negative effects. It would be crazy to say that it's only positive, because then I would be the only one saying this in the world. So it's one of the worst things that ever happened to us. But the positive thing is that lots of companies, they had to go and think digital very fast. Until recently, we still had companies that didn't do any investment in certain digital skills with their coworkers. Now we see that they are really focusing on digital skills, which you need, because otherwise you can't be working remotely. Second thing is, you need to have trust in your coworkers, because they work from home. If you don't have trust, because before COVID, there were lots of companies where people couldn't work home because there was no trust. So you need to trust your people. So there are some things that have changed that are very positive for employee engagement and employee advocacy, because they know that they have to invest in people and they have to trust the people. And the second thing is that people that are working remote, they feel very proud being still able to work, for first thing, and then they're proud for their company. Before they went to the company, now they're always working at home, and they want to belong to the company, because you want to belong to some things. It's typically human. So we saw that the results of the engagement in the existing companies working with us, it went up, and the result went up as well. So there was more people sharing content, and if they shared content, there was even more reaction. So that's the positive thing. The more negative thing is that it's a big crisis that is heading towards us, meaning that there are budgets that are frozen, which I understand completely. Otherwise, on the other hand, companies need to invest. Everybody says you need to invest, but it's always easy to say. In real time, I see that some companies, they just really stop every single expenditure, and obviously a license is a cost. So there's also a challenge for us. How to go over this crisis. But then the third thing is the most, as far as I understand, is the most valuable thing that you can do now is to invest in your coworkers. Yeah. If you invest in your coworkers, the return will be higher at the end and also during the pandemic. And it's in fact the cheapest investment you can do is invest in your coworkers. So there's, again, it's positive and it's negative.
Yeah, indeed. I think we can relate a lot to more engagement towards our coworkers, towards the workplace. I don't think I've ever felt so connected to my team as this. Yeah, it's a very negative impact in the world, but it does have its good sides. I think it made us realize that we're human and we need the human contact even more because we cannot get enough of it now. So, yeah. Well, a question that's a bit more personal, Patrick. If you would go back to your past self when you were starting Social Seeder, what is the thing that you would like to actually tell him or that you would like him to know about?
So what are the learnings that I have, and what were the things that I would change if I would start all over again? That's the question. Absolutely. First of all, I wanted to be much younger, but everybody wants to be young. So, I started at the age of 50, and afterwards, I think I would prefer to have started a bit earlier. Okay. And also a bit knowing that running and starting or leading a startup it's always said like it's heavy, but it's quite heavy. It's you have really periods where you go down, you go down, and then you have to start going up again, and you have very few holidays, and you really have to put all your energy in there. On the other hand, I would never change it again because I love what I'm doing. But it's a big challenge. And the third thing is having some more development skills would basically help me because we are working in a SaaS company, and sometimes I ask these questions, and then you see your development team saying like, huh? Because I don't really know exactly what to say. Like, oh, but this is easy. This is an easy feature. No, it's not an easy feature. So, having some more technical insight and skills would be beneficial.
Just out of curiosity, you said that you would rather start younger, but then you would have all of that period of not having the vacations and working hard during your young years. So I don't know. Is it a good choice?
And specifically, since I was working for airline companies and in the travel industry, I had the occasion of traveling all around the world and working all around the world. I've been working on every single continent. So it is true. It's the opposite of what we have today, because now I can't even move to the center of Antwerp. So but anyhow.
CEO now. Now you can rule your company.
A good time to sit on the throne. Cool.
And actually, you mentioned that you are now focusing more on the data side and giving some extra insights for your customers. And when exactly did you start considering going more into that direction? And when did you start considering Cumulio?
Okay, so considering the fact that data becomes very important as in your product offering, it comes through time, because obviously, again, you need to have quite some customers, and you need to have some data before you can start looking at intelligent dashboarding. So we created dashboards. In the 2.0 version, we already created some more intelligence because we could start working with coefficients, with certain, how do you say it? We could already say that this is a good campaign and this is a bad campaign. So there were already some learnings in the platform. But then last year, since the fact that we wanted to go international and we had quite a lot of companies that were joining the program, the sheer amount of data became bigger and bigger, and that was the point where we said, like, we want to see how we can improve the dashboard, meaning also the learnings, and so the USP of our company. And that's where we the first time that we connected with Camulio, and then end of last year, I saw Camulio during Slush, an event in Finland. I think it was in November, where they showed me what incredible nice features they had, and from there we took the decision, like, what they do, they're more than professionally what they do. We have to do what we are good in. What if we combine forces? And from there started collaboration with Camulio.
We're very happy you did. Yeah. But I think it's safe to say that data visualization right now is no longer a luxurious add-on to platforms, but rather a must-have that your users will really expect from you to have in your portal. And I think a lot of our customers actually can relate to that. One case that comes to my mind is ComSpace, for example, and they identified the need for offering to their users dashboards that were easy to use, that were so that the users could themselves have access to without taking up time from the development team. So we know at startups, developers are very precious and we don't want to bother them. I know personally not to do that. So they decided to actually add Camulio dashboards inside of ComSpace so that their users could see the reports with their own data within the portal of ComSpace themselves. And doing this, they were able to not only improve the functionality of their application, stay on top at the cutting edge, but also they were able to create an additional monthly fee by adding 10% of the fee to their license. So.
Yeah. And related to that, like you mentioned that you would like to, you were thinking from the very beginning to outsource the advancement of your analytics. But was there ever a question with your developers, like, should we develop it ourselves? Maybe in-house is safer? And did you have any kind of these objections, and how actually did you deal with them?
It's true that we had some discussions with development because obviously they want to run the show themselves, which is logical. But that's why we also decided that the basic dashboarding, so the basic offering that we have for our customers, should first of all remain social seeder. And it doesn't even mean that we do not want to further develop our basic dashboard, but we decided that we wanted to go for a specialized dashboard for instance, sales and specifically marketing and HR, and therefore we are going to specialists to create this second level of dashboard. So that was for them a solid reason to cooperate with Camulio, because they still had data themselves in their hands. And so there was control from their end, and there's an outsourcing on the other hand.
Okay, yeah. And another interesting case that comes to my mind, it would be another also Belgian company, Strobo. It's a personal management and planning platform, and they are mainly working in the hospitality sector. So at a certain moment, they also felt like it is time, guys, to become more data-driven and offer something extra for their clients. And they decided that offering a dive into the data would make for it. So they approached it from two different ways. The first one is they added some advanced analytics to their platform, and it became a good upsell possibility because not everyone wants to dig into data yet, but those who want have this possibility. And from another side, there is also analytics actually became a part of their long-term strategy and unlocked for them larger clients. So with offering them nice analytics, they would be able to scale the deal sizes. So my question would be also like, do you offer analytics for all of your customers, or you also differentiate dashboards from one-to-one and offer different options?
We have three levels, or there are three possible levels. The first level is so we decided to have a basic Communio integration for everybody, so they can look at an enhanced dashboard. But then we have two extra levels, dashboards on ambassador level, and we have a dashboard specifically on company industry level. These two dashboards, they are grayed out in our software, and if you want to use them, then it's going to be an upsell. So for us, these two dashboards are an upsell. And then the third level, which we don't have yet, is the level where companies could even eventually ask completely personalized dashboards with personalized insights. I know that this is also possible with Communio, but we are at this moment developing the second level, and then eventually we will go to the third level.
Yeah, great. Yet another case to mention would be with a company that I think everyone knows. It's Proximus, and they have also generated quite a lot of data and participating in many different kind of activities. So one of the ones. What's wrong with you? You're good.
I'm good. Come on, let's do it.
Okay,
cool.
Another case that would be also interesting to mention here, I think, would be Proximus, because they also participate in many different activities, and they have quite some data that it's important to use wisely. One of the examples would be when they used a mobile phone signals to track actually during Tour of Flanders, and they were able to see where the masses are going, and in this case it was very useful for police, so they can have a good insight into where the most of people are. And quite similar case was also during our pandemic, when the lockdown was over and people started traveling to Belgian coast all together. So it was quite useful to see how is public spread alongside the coast to make sure that we are still safe and sound during these special times.
So indeed, another way we see our user generating additional revenue, Patrick, is what you mentioned. It's actually using Communio by white labeling our dashboard editor in a way that they offer an environment that is completely familiar to their user. And with their own colors, with their own logo, they allow their user to build those dashboards on top of data that they provide to them. The way we usually do this is by having a shared revenue model where we sit together with our users and develop a model that works for both of us. And usually in this case, they will be having an additional license that they will be charging their customers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's indeed like a third phase that you mentioned for customers that want to deep dive into data themselves. It is also indeed possible.
Yeah, because it's every customer has a different request. Obviously, a SaaS company doesn't have the possibility to have 25 different dashboards. That's not the purpose of a SaaS company. That's not the way you grow. But then again, if you can do that through the flexibility that Communio has, it gives you the possibility to eventually adapt, or to at least give something depending on the question of the customer. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So to sum up, there always comes a certain point in business life when it's quite crucial to find new ways of generating revenue in order for your business to expand. And since right now we are living in a very data-driven world and quite now digital world as well, I have to say, making data work for you and doing so smartly is actually a way to go about that. And by marketing it, you can either add another tier and upsell your current clients to give them possibility to go beyond what you already offer them, or you can actually integrate data as a part of your business model in order to scale deal sizes and attract bigger clients to your business. We are done with our questions, Patrick, and we are glad you've been with us.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure. And
It was my pleasure.
that means that you and all the audience that's been with us are as curious as we are and always looking for new ideas and knowledge to disrupt their businesses. So we suggest you guys come back next month and bring your friend, co-founder, or colleague along with you.
See you then. Thank you so much.
See you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.